1. This happened last week. I work as a server at a bar and grill that's basically a dive bar with really good food. They have different events every night, and I'm always scheduled to work poker nights. It's mainly the same people, but every once in a while someone new will join. Well, they got a new player last week, and to be honest, she was kind of an uppity asshole from the moment she walked in, but I was sweet as can be, as always. She was taking advantage of the vodka drinks that were on special, and I guess was so engrossed in playing poker and chatting with everyone that she couldn't be bothered to walk to the bathroom. A couple of hours after her arrival, one of the regular poker players came up to discreetly inform me that she had peed all over herself, the chair, the floor, but that she was claiming she had spilled a drink. Nobody at the table saw her spill a drink, and it was obviously dripping from her seat. He's a sweetheart, and says he doesn't want to embarrass her, so they're just pretending to believe her. So I go fill up the mop bucket and make my way to do the last thing in the world that I want to do. I walk up and go along with the lie. "Oh, I heard someone spilled a drink. Do you mind moving your chair so I can mop this up?" She refused to move and started babbling about how it's a lot, but it wasn't her. She spilled a drink, blah blah blah. I just nod and do my best to mop up around her and under the table. Then get this, she tries to order another drink, along with some tater tots. I put in the order for the tots and bring her a water. She asks me where her drink is, and I reply, "Honey, I think you're good. Just drink some water." She took it better than expected. I make it halfway back to the wait station to check on her tots when I hear breaking glass. She had knocked a drink off the table, so I grab the broom and dustpan and mop and go clean up after her yet again. This time she's drunkenly mumbling that she hates me. Tots finally come out and I bring them to her, right as her friend shows up to pay her tab and take her home, thank God. Friend only tips $3. Whatever. I'm just happy she's taking this lady home. Once she leaves, I grab the mop and bucket again, along with some gloves, rags, and Fabuloso, so I can disinfect the chair and fully mop now that she's out of the way. The rush had also begun in the midst of this train wreck. I was the only server, and one of my other tables ended up stiffing me because I didn't bring her a non-alcoholic beer fast enough, due to prioritizing cleaning up human waste. The poker players made up for it, though. They all tipped extra and thanked me for handling the situation so well. What a night. I hope she's so embarrassed that she never comes back. 2. I work in a small family-owned restaurant with a remarkably low asshole ratio, but the assistant manager is deterred in the Rose Garden. She took a 14-top reservation where she told them it would be fine for them to have 14 separate checks. So the day of, I'm the only server on our patio where they're seated. It's 14 old men, all dressed identically, who arrive at intervals from 30 minutes early to 45 minutes late, and trade seats with every new arrival so they can catch up on old times. I try my best to track them by position point, but when they all have black hats and the same logo and red shirts, it's nearly impossible. In the meantime, I have 6 other tables to take care of on the patio, plus a wait list. When they're ready to go, I have to scrounge around for 14 check presenters. We're always short of them, and there are 6 other servers, plus 2 bartenders who need them too. Then print out 14 checks. Then distribute them to the 14 old man clones, upon which pandemonium erupts. "I had an iced tea, not lemonade." "That isn't my check." "Miss, you charged me for a cup of chowder, but I had a bowl," etc., etc. 10 of them pay with cash, 9 of whom expect change, plus 4 credit cards. I got a complaint from one of my other patio tables about the poor service, as I was too busy dealing with trying to make change for all these old farts to even refill a single drink or check on anyone. Because of the complaint, that bitch of an assistant manager took away my next 2 dinner shifts. Tips on those nights would add up to around $400, so I can relax and think about how to be a better server. Of course, she made this call while the nice, reasonable manager was off for 2 days, so I had no recourse. I got docked $400 with no verbal or written warning because of my conduct and unacceptable service levels. The next morning, by a wild coincidence, I was offered a job in my career field with a start date of 7 days hence. Of course, I accepted, and to make sure my karma was good, I offered to stay on at the restaurant through Father's Day and July 4th, with the provision I would not be able to work lunch shifts Monday to Friday. That stupid bitch put me on schedule with me working 11 a.m. on the first day of my new job. She wants to fire me for not being available, and I'm laughing. I spoke to the GM and said, if she fires me for that day and my other job fell through, I'd be eligible for unemployment, right? He was so contrite and asked me so kindly to please stay for Father's Day and the 4th, both of which they depend on me to work. Should I? I would like to tell them to screw off. Oh, believe me how badly I want to do that. But my general manager is such a sweetheart. He actually helped me get a suicidal coworker into treatment and held their position open for 2 months. I want to figure out some way to screw the AGM without hurting him. The restaurant owners have a winery about 2 hours away. I think once I'm done here, I will pay them a visit. They love me. I make sure their every visit is seamless and perfect. 3. I wasn't at my restaurant today when this happened, but I was there when we dealt with this woman for the first time. Background. About 2 months ago, a woman came into my restaurant and ordered our country fried steak breakfast. It says on the menu exactly what it is. It's a country fried steak, 2 eggs, bacon, 2 biscuits, and a full mug of sausage gravy. She gets about halfway through her plate of food and calls the server over. "Excuse me, but does this gravy have pork in it?" "Yes, ma'am, and so does the bacon." "What? I can't have pork. You tricked me because you hate Muslims. You're a shaitan." "A devil." "Astaghfirullah, God forgive me." I want to point out that there was no outward indication that this woman was Muslim. She did not have a hijab or any other covering. Although, of course, you can't necessarily tell by the way someone is dressed. She gave no other indication regardless. She was dressed like any random chick you would see in the hood. But even if she was rocking the full burqa, it's not our job to police your religious beliefs. Dudes walk in here with a jalabia and a kufi on, and order shots all the time when they leave the local masjid. She then proceeds to vomit right there in the dining room, after which she threw her plate at our hostess, which hit her in the face and chipped her tooth. I came out of the back with my dessert chef. We're both pretty big dudes, so we're security in addition to our main roles. The lady sees 2 big dudes making a beeline for her table and decides she doesn't want to wait around and see what we have to say. She bolts from the restaurant. I drive the hostess to the emergency dental clinic and then bring her and the security footage over to the police to file a report. 2 months go by and nothing. She doesn't get caught. My hostess is not getting justice until last night. The lady walks right into the place and asks the hostess for a table. Mind you, this is the same girl she threw the plate at. I don't know if she didn't recognize her or if she just thought she would get away with it. So the hostess sits her down, walks into the back and calls 911. Lets them know there is a wanted criminal sitting in our restaurant. The look of shocked defeat on that lady's face when 4 uniformed officers walked in and headed straight for her table was so satisfying. I want to print out a still from the security tape and hang it on my office wall. I don't have any details on what charges she's facing, whatever her bail situation is, or anything like that. But she left the premises in handcuffs, so I'll call it a win. I'm just glad she was dumb enough to return to the scene of the crime. Also, just to add before we go, we do have a halal menu at my restaurant. We buy halal meat to serve to our Muslim guests. We don't even use the same place to serve the halal food, or the same pans to cook it. But the majority of our menu is not halal. And the things that are clearly marked off in a separate section. I make a lot of money every Friday when the masjid lets out and people head straight here from Jummah. I know many Muslims and none of them have behaved like her, so don't worry about me building a stereotype off of this. Inshallah, we don't see her again. Nothing but love for you from this Christian. 4. I've been working as a bartender in a craft brewery for about 2 years, working my way up in the chain. In my brewery we have 3 bars, our large warehouse conversion restaurant and the main bar, an upstairs cocktail bar and a little bar, 70 people capacity, out on the street. and across the road from us is our sister bar and restaurant. Just after I got promoted enough to manage our street front bar, I had the weekend from hell. I'm doing my thing, slinging beers and shaking cocktails in my front little bar on my own, when I get informed by another server that some of the men sitting out front have just been kicked out of our main bar and not to serve them any more drinks. Cruisy, I can do that. Now, we have one person only working this front bar, so they are also responsible for clearing the glasses and plates from our front smokers area. I've been getting slammed behind the bar, non-stop making drinks and taking food orders, and hadn't had a chance to clear the leftover glasses from out front in about 20 minutes. My queue finally dies down enough for me to regroup and clear some stuff. As I step out the door into the smokers area, I watch one of the guys who had been kicked out start pouring the remaining beers from the table in front of him into one glass and go to sip from it. These were definitely not his, mind you. I collect all the empties from in front of him and very politely ask him to hand over the glass. The altercation goes a little something like this. "Hey mate, please hand that one to me. You've been asked to leave the venue and are no longer allowed to consume alcohol on the premises." "Nah, someone left them here, I can drink it." "No, sorry, you can't. Give it to me now, thank you." He hands over the glass, all while shouting about me being wasteful and spiteful, and that he'd see me next Tuesday. Thought that was weird. So when he asked what I was going to do with the beer, I smiled and said I was going to pour it down the drain. He starts screaming at me even more as I collect the last glasses and head back inside. 5 or so minutes later, he's still screaming obscenities at me through the open window and tries to walk in the door. I step out from my bar and inform him he's not welcome in the venue, and if he continues the way he is, he'll be asked to leave the street front tables too. I keep an eye on him from behind the bar for a few more minutes, and here's where it's important to note. I'm not an overly large or strong girl, so I'm kinda shit scared of this guy, and don't want to let him take the piss. Besides, I have 2 of my coworkers having their knockoff drinks in my bar, and they're 6'3" and 6'7" respectively, so I had backup. He's chill for 10 or so minutes, and then I spot him pick up a freshly abandoned beer from another table, and look me in the eyes as he drinks from it. I've had enough, so I walk out front and take it away from him, and as I turn around to walk back inside, not even saying a word to him, he snatches someone else's still half-full pint and pelts it at the back of my head. Luckily, it smashes into the door frame, but I'm rained down on with glass and beer. Fight or flight kicks in, and I immediately turn around, phone in hand, telling him to get lost or I'll call the police. He takes off running across the street, and I very calmly also cross the street to let our sister bar know not to let him or his friends inside. He stood next to me now, screaming in my ear about that appointment he thinks we have next Tuesday, and not having any say over whether or not he gets in somewhere else. So I just lean up into him and tell him if he keeps this up, not only will I call the police, but I'll personally take his photo to every bar in the area and tell them to ban him. He finally fucks off. I go back to my bar and quietly throw up from all the adrenaline, inform my shift manager who says there's nothing she can do, and it's good I didn't actually call the police. Bullshit. 2 days later, I'm back to serving in our main bar because my bar is closed and another man comes in. He's loud but not aggressive, and says all he wants is some soda water and to draw us a picture. I hand him his soda water and serve some other customers while keeping an eye on him as he talks to one of my bar staff. He's chillin', he's happy, everything's alright, until he overhears me talking to another customer and laughing at their joke. He immediately starts shouting that I'm laughing at him, and I very calmly and sweetly inform him that I wasn't, and would never. I thank him for his drawing, and offer him more soda water or another soda, and he accepts, happily keeps drawing, and decides to leave. I cheerily wave him goodbye and tell him to have a good night. He's gone for maybe 2 minutes before he comes storming back on, screaming, and would you believe, hurls a pint glass at me. I must have some sort of guardian angel because once again it misses me, but sends glass flying everywhere. This time I have backup, and several of my floor staff escort him out, while I clean up the glass and go once again to report to the shift manager, who was once again just sitting in the office. doing nothing. 5. A little background. I'm a 22-year-old female. I started working at this restaurant a year ago, next month. I applied asking for 2 or 3 shifts a week. That quickly turned into 40 to 60-hour weeks. I used to get an hour or 2-hour break on the days I was there all day. Open at 10:40 a.m. till we close 9 p.m. 9:30 to 10 after side work. One or both of the owners, they are married and moved here 3 years ago from China, would usually be there all day with us. Slowly they stopped coming in, opened another restaurant. The last 6 months I've been there from as early as 8:30 a.m. until 9:30 to 10 p.m. No breaks. I'm the only server all day aside from Saturday nights and Sunday mornings. My usual schedule is Wednesday dinner, Thursday double, Friday double, Saturday double, Sunday lunch. Tuesdays I'll work at the other restaurant if I have time. I train the new cashiers who are all 15 and don't care. I do all the side work myself, mop, sweep, clean bathrooms, make salads, refill sauces, chips and sauces for tables, clean and bust tables, run my own food, restock beer, take out trash, make tea, roll silverware, everything by myself. I even have to do cashier side work that seems to never get done because they leave without telling me. I've been running myself ragged for this restaurant. Even learned Chinese to talk to the chefs. I'm relied to translate issues between cashiers and chefs. I spend 90% of my time at this restaurant and do not get compensated. Back in March, the owner said I would be supervisor from now on. My schedule would be marked which shift I was getting paid as supervisor. When I get my hourly check at the end of the month, which should have been $1,200 including tips from that week, I did not even get the tips I earned that week. Over $800 missing? I asked the owner what the fuck happened. How did my entire hourly pay for the month and more get taken from me? He said it was for taxes. I'm at a loss of what to do. I love the chefs and the other server, but I am not being compensated fairly. I have my own key to this place. I open and close alone. I grocery shop when we run out of things, write checks for beer and food deliveries. I was only paid as supervisor for the month of March. I have not been paid hourly as supervisor since then. The owners and I used to be very close. Since they aren't around anymore, we aren't as close. I have to beg for my check every week. No set day where I can get it anymore. Owners make it seem like a hassle. Where in the past he would come in every Sunday at 4 p.m. to pay me. It just stopped one day. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 177. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then I'd appreciate it if you copied that link in the top there and shared it around with all the peoples. All the peoples. Alright, here we are on a Saturday. Or a Sunday, or a Monday. Could be a Tuesday. I don't know when people listen to these videos. Anyway, it could be a Saturday. And if it is, hi. I'm on a Saturday too. I'll probably be stuffing my face with unhealthy food, because I'm allowed to do that on just a Saturday. These are self-imposed rules. I'm a hard taskmaster. I will hopefully see you guys at some point for a stream, a gaming stream of some description. You're all welcome to pop in for a bit of a chat. Okay, and before we go, we're going to have a question of the day. So let's see, Hellfreezer's question of the day. What is the most interesting tidbit of useless information that you've recently learned? I'll give you a few of mine. For example, I just learned that I use the phrase "I just learned" on the Hellfreezer Discord a ridiculous amount of time because apparently I'm always learning things, which isn't necessarily bad. For example, recent ones for me are, I only just learned that Elon Musk was not the founder of Tesla. I just learned that I can see my most used emojis when I right-click on a post. I just learned that the best Batman is gay, Kevin Conroy. That delights me very much. Then after that, I just learned some bullshit. I don't know, what was the bullshit I learned? Let's see. Oh, right. This is going to be controversial, but fuck it. Is it true that I was asking a question, but I know it's true. In some U.S. states like California, it is illegal to ship a replica gun. And that's apparently a true thing that happens. Oy. But more interesting, I just learned that you can buy replica vampire kits. I just learned that Kraft used to make a spreadable cheese in a jar, like the company Sunpat. That was a UK brand, Sunpat, I believe. There's more. And we could go on and on and on and on, because I say it a lot. So, what are some interesting tidbits of information that are otherwise not really that useful that you've recently learned? Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.